We got William. How you doing?
Hi.
How are you?
Okay, I just have one question.
Sure.
First of all, I'm quite upset with the long, uninformed people that call. You know, they
Right.
just take too long. You ought to have a time limit on their stupid or beliefs. I just want to ask, I've talked to several Christians who claim that Jesus did exist, and they all mention this Jewish writer, Joseph?
Josephus, yeah.
Yes. Is it true that he mentioned Jesus in it?
It's true that there's a passage in there. It's not true that Josephus mentioned Jesus. What it is Josephus was a Jewish historian. Now, first of all, it should be noted that even if Josephus did include a passage about Jesus, it still doesn't count as contemporary evidence, because if Jesus actually existed, he was dead by 33 AD or so, and Josephus wasn't born until after that and didn't start writing until the end of the 1st century, or late 1st century. There's one passage in the Antiquities that talks about Jesus, but it's either a complete fabrication which has been inserted, because if you remove it and read the rest of the text, it flows. The story goes and goes and goes, and then there's this passage inserted that has nothing to do with what he's talking about, and then it returns to what it was talking about. That's possible, but that's not, it's not unusual for people to, look, I'll talk for hours and insert little fragments of stuff left and right, so I'm not going to fault Josephus if he went off on a tangent for a second. But the thing is, what he says is, and around this time there was a man called Jesus. He was the Christ. He was wise, and blah, 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 blah. Josephus was not a Christian. He was a Pharisaic Jew, and there's absolutely no way that he could have ever written the words, he was the Christ. Now, if he could have been talking about, some people believed that he was the Christ, but that's not what he said. The way it's written, it's accepted by most scholars that it is at least partially a we don't want to date it too much, but I think it's 4th century Christian interpolation where somebody went in and edited it. One of the good reasons we know this is because some of the early church fathers, like Origen, who had access to the Antiquities, don't mention it. This would have been quick and easy for any of them trying to justify their religious views. And these guys were well-read. They knew where to look. They quoted from each other. They quoted from writers all around this period of time, and not one of them referenced this passage in Josephus. It's not even heard of until late 3rd century, early 4th century, I think. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thanks.